Have you ever stood in front of the mirror, brushing your teeth, and actually taken a good long look at your tongue? I know it sounds like a strange question and maybe even a bit uncomfortable, but stick with me for a moment because what you see in that reflection might just be the most important health signal your body is sending you right now. Have you noticed that your memory feels a little foggy lately, or that finding the right word in a conversation feels like wading through mud? Maybe you have been feeling more tired than usual, or your balance isn't what it used to be. We often brush these things off as just normal parts of aging, just the price of admission for getting over 60. But what if I told you that the clue to your brain health isn't in your head at all, but right there in your mouth? There is a fascinating and powerful connection between the state of your tongue and the state of your brain. And leading experts like Dr. William Li have been connecting these dots in ways that change how we look at longevity. Your tongue is like a dashboard for your internal health. If it looks a certain way, it could be a screaming red siren that your brain is in trouble, that it is starving for nutrients, or that inflammation is silently eating away at your cognitive reserve. But here is the good news, and it is why I am talking to you today. If you catch these signs early, you can turn the ship around. This isn't about scaring you, it is about empowering you. In this video, we are going to decode exactly what your tongue is trying to tell you, and more importantly, we are going to walk through the specific foods and simple daily habits that can reverse the damage, protect your memory, and keep your mind sharp well into your golden years. Before we dive into the science and the solutions, if you care about staying healthy, independent, and sharp as you age, consider subscribing to our channel and turning on notifications. We are building a community here dedicated to sharing the kind of senior health tips that standard checkups often overlook, and I want you to be part of it. And let me ask you a quick question. Are you watching this from the US, the UK, Canada, or maybe somewhere else entirely? Drop a comment below and tell me where you are from. I am always amazed to see how far our senior health family reaches, and I read every single comment because I truly care about who you are and how you are doing. Now let's get back to that mirror. I want you to imagine opening your mouth and seeing something specific. We are going to break this down into a few key warning signs that you can check for right now, and then we will talk about the foods that fix them. The first major warning sign we need to talk about is a tongue that looks surprisingly smooth and pale. You might think a smooth tongue looks healthy or clean, but in the world of medicine, a smooth tongue is actually a distress signal. A healthy tongue should have a bit of texture. It should be covered in tiny little bumps called papillae. If your tongue looks like a polished stone or a piece of raw meat that is smooth and perhaps a bit pale or fiery red, it often points to a severe deficiency in vitamin B12 or iron. Why does this matter for your brain? Well, think of vitamin B12 as the insulation for the electrical wiring in your house. Your nerves, including the ones in your brain, are covered in a protective sheath called myelin. B12 is crucial for maintaining that sheath. When you don't have enough, that insulation starts to fray. The result is that the electrical signals in your brain slow down. You might experience brain fog, memory lapses, or even tingling in your hands and feet, which is a sign of nerve distress. As we get older, our stomachs produce less of the acid needed to absorb B12 from food. So even if you are eating the same diet you did at 40, you might be absorbing half the nutrients. If your tongue is smooth and your brain feels slow, these two things are intimately connected. It is not just about popping a pill, though, that can help. It is about understanding that your body is crying out for high-quality fuel. We need to look at what you are putting on your plate. If you see this smooth tongue, consider it a gentle nudge from your body saying, "Feed me better." This is where we can start introducing foods rich in B12, like eggs, fatty fish like salmon, or fortified nutritional yeast if you are plant-based. Imagine eating a delicious piece of baked salmon and knowing that with every bite you are rebuilding that protective insulation around your brain cells, helping your thoughts fire faster and clearer. It is a simple change, but the impact on your cognitive future is massive. Now let's move on to the second sign, which is something many seniors see and ignore, and that is a thick white coating on the tongue. You might brush it off thinking you just need to scrub harder, but That white film is often a sign of an imbalance in your oral microbiome, specifically an overgrowth of yeast or bacteria, often called oral thrush. You might be wondering what bacteria in my mouth has to do with my brain. This is where the science gets really interesting. Dr. William Li often talks about the body's defense systems, and one of the most critical ones is the microbiome. Your mouth is the gateway to your gut and your body. When you have an overgrowth of bad bacteria in your mouth, indicated by that white coating, it creates a state of chronic low-grade inflammation. This inflammation doesn't just stay in your mouth, it leaks into your bloodstream and travels upward. There is a barrier protecting your brain called the blood-brain barrier. It is like a bouncer at a club keeping the bad guys out. But chronic inflammation weakens that bouncer. When inflammatory markers from your mouth cross into the brain, they activate the brain's immune cells in a way that causes damage to neurons. Recent studies have actually found the specific bacteria responsible for gum disease inside the brains of Alzheimer's patients. That is a terrifying thought, but it is also a liberating one, because it means that by cleaning up your mouth, you are literally protecting your brain from invasion. So what causes this white coating usually? It is sugar. Sugar is the fuel for the bad bacteria and yeast that create that white film. If you are starting your day with a sweet pastry or drinking soda or even too much fruit juice, you are throwing a party for the enemies of your brain. The sugar feeds the bacteria creates inflammation, and the inflammation attacks your brain. It is a domino effect. The solution here isn't just medication, it is starving the enemy. We need to cut down on the refined sugars and processed carbs that stick to your teeth and tongue. Instead, we want to introduce foods that act as natural scrubbers and balancers. Crunchy vegetables like celery and carrots are fantastic. They increase saliva production, which is your mouth's natural cleaning agent. But more importantly, we want to eat foods that support a healthy microbiome. This brings me to a powerful dietary strategy that acts as a countermeasure. We need to talk about fermented foods, things like sauerkraut, kimchi, plain yogurt with active cultures, or kefir. These foods are packed with beneficial bacteria. When you eat them, you are sending in reinforcements. You are populating your digestive tract in your mouth with the good guys who can outnumber and suppress the bad guys, causing that white coating. Imagine a spoonful of yogurt acting like a soothing army, calming the inflammation in your mouth, and by extension, calming the fire in your brain. It is a small habit, just a small bowl a day, but over weeks and months, it can clear up that tongue and sharpen your cognition. Let's transition to the third sign, which is perhaps the most common and yet the most overlooked, and that is a tongue with deep cracks or fissures down the middle or sides. It looks a bit like a dried up riverbed. If you see this, stick out your tongue and check right now, does it look cracked? This is often a classic sign of chronic dehydration and what is called fluid stagnation in traditional medicine. As we age, our sense of thirst diminishes. You might not feel thirsty even when your body is parched. But here is the scary part. Your brain is about 75 to 80% water. When you are dehydrated, even mildly, your brain literally shrinks in volume. It pulls away from the skull. This affects your ability to focus, to solve problems, and to recall memories. A fissured tongue is your body waving a white flag saying, we are drying out here. And when the body dries out, the blood gets thicker. Thick blood is harder for your heart to pump, and it struggles to get into the tiny microscopic capillaries that feed your brain cells. Dr. William Li talks a lot about angiogenesis, which is the growth and maintenance of blood vessels. You want those vessels to be open and flowing. If you are dehydrated, you are starving those vessels. So the fix here seems obvious, drink water, but for seniors, it is not always that simple. You might be worried about running to the bathroom all the time, or maybe plain water just doesn't taste good to you, but we have to treat water as medicine. If you see those cracks on your tongue, I want you to try a simple strategy called front loading. Try to drink a large glass of water right when you wake up before you have your coffee or tea. Your body has been dehydrated all night. That morning glass is like a jump start for your brain. It reinflates the brain cells and gets the blood moving. And we can eat our water too. Foods like cucumbers, watermelon, and oranges are packed with hydration and electrolytes, which help your cells hold onto the water. Imagine biting into a crisp, cool cucumber. That water isn't just quenching your thirst, it is soaking into those deep cracks in your tongue and replenishing the fluid around your brain cells, allowing them to fire efficiently again. It is about looking at that cracked tongue, not as a deformity, but as a fuel gauge that is pointing to empty. You have the power to fill it back up. Now, I want to pivot slightly because we have talked about what the tongue looks like, but I want to talk about a habit that many of us have that directly ruins both our tongue health and our brain health. And it connects to a specific color. Have you ever used a strong antiseptic mouthwash and noticed your tongue feels a bit stung or sensitive afterward? Maybe you think you are doing a good thing, killing all those germs. This is one of the biggest mistakes seniors make. We are taught that we need to kill 99.9% of bacteria. But Dr. William Li and other researchers have highlighted a crucial molecule called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a vasodilator, meaning it widens your blood vessels to let blood flow freely to your heart and your brain. Here is the kicker: your body relies on good bacteria on the back of your tongue to produce nitric oxide from the food you eat. If you use a harsh alcohol-based mouthwash every morning, you are nuking those good bacteria. You are wiping out the tiny factory workers that help regulate your blood pressure and feed your brain. Studies have actually shown that heavy use of antiseptic mouthwash can raise blood pressure, which is a major risk factor for stroke and dementia. So if your tongue feels stripped and sensitive, stop the harsh mouthwash. Instead, switch to a gentle alcohol-free rinse or just simple warm salt water. But more importantly, let's feed those nitric oxide producing bacteria. This brings us to one of the most powerful food groups for your brain: leafy green vegetables. Spinach, arugula, beet greens, and beets themselves. These foods are rich in natural nitrates. When you chew them, the bacteria on your tongue convert those nitrates into nitric oxide. I want you to picture this process because it is amazing. You are chewing a salad with some arugula. As you chew, the bacteria on your tongue are grabbing those nitrates and transforming them. You swallow, and that transformed molecule enters your bloodstream, causing the arteries leading to your brain to relax and widen. Suddenly, more oxygen, more glucose, and more nutrients are rushing into your brain cells. It is like opening a blocked highway. By simply changing your mouthwash habit and eating more greens, you are physically opening the pathways for your memory to function. We are about halfway through these life-changing tips, and I have to ask, are you finding this helpful so far? If you are having any aha moments, please take a second to hit the thumbs up button. It really helps spread the word to other seniors who might be struggling with these same issues and don't even know that the answer is right on the tip of their tongue. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. We are just getting started on this list, and I don't want you to miss the next few points because they are about the specific foods that can repair the damage we have been talking about. So we have covered the warning signs. Now I want to give you a proactive list. These are the foods you should be adding to your grocery list immediately to heal your tongue and save your brain. Dr. William Li calls these the foods that eat to beat disease. Number one on our power list is berries, especially blueberries and blackberries. You might have heard they are good for you, but do you know why? It is all about the deep blue and purple pigments called anthocyanins. These compounds are potent antioxidants. When your tongue is inflamed or your gums are red, it is a sign of oxidative stress, rust essentially in your body. Berries are the anti-rust. They cross the blood-brain barrier and accumulate in regions of the brain associated with memory and learning, like the hippocampus. There was a study involving older adults that showed those who consume berries regularly delayed cognitive aging by up to 2.5 years. That is basically buying yourself more time just by enjoying a delicious bowl of fruit. Imagine the dark juice of a blueberry, not as a stain, but as a shield, coating your neurons and protecting them from the wear and tear of aging. If you have a sweet tooth and you are trying to get off the sugar that causes the white tongue coating, replace it with berries. You satisfy the craving, but instead of feeding the bad bacteria, you are feeding your brain. Number 2 is walnuts. Have you ever noticed that a walnut kernel looks exactly like a tiny human brain? It has the 2 hemispheres and the wrinkled surface. Nature often leaves us clues like this. Walnuts are one of the best plant sources of omega-3 fatty acids, specifically ALA. Remember that smooth, pale tongue we talked about earlier, indicative of poor nutrient absorption and nerve issues? Omega-3 seconds are the structural building blocks of the brain. Your brain is 60% fat. If you don't eat good fats, your brain cells become stiff and rigid, making it hard for them to communicate. Omega-3 seconds keep the cell membranes flexible. Try keeping a jar of walnuts on your counter. Just a small handful a day is enough. When you crunch into them, imagine that healthy oil lubricating your neural pathways, allowing thoughts to slide effortlessly from one neuron to another. It helps reduce the inflammation that leads to the red swollen tongue and supports the brain structure itself. Number 3 is green tea. We spoke about dehydration earlier and the cracked tongue. Green tea is a fantastic way to hydrate while adding a massive medical benefit. It contains a compound called EGCG. This is a star player in the world of anti-angiogenesis, which means it stops blood vessels from feeding cancers, but interestingly, in the brain, it protects healthy cells and reduces the formation of the plaques associated with Alzheimer's. Coffee is good too, but green tea is gentler on the system for many seniors and provides a steady, calm focus without the jitters. Swapping your afternoon soda or sugary juice for a warm cup of green tea is one of the kindest things you can do for your aging brain. It washes away the debris, clears the tongue, and soothes the mind. Now, let's address a very specific concern that many of you might have, which is the loss of taste. Have you found that food just doesn't taste as good as it used to? Maybe you are adding more salt or more sugar just to get some flavor. This is often linked to a deficiency in zinc. A lack of zinc can also manifest as a tongue that looks dull or has unusual coatings. Zinc is critical for the hippocampus, the memory center of the brain. A zinc deficiency doesn't just steal the flavor from your life, it steals your memories too. The solution here is delicious shellfish, like oysters are the king of zinc. But if that's not your thing, pumpkin seeds are a fantastic alternative. Just sprinkling some pumpkin seeds on your oatmeal or your yogurt can boost your zinc levels, bringing the flavor back to your food and the sharpness back to your memory. It might feel a bit unsettling to learn all this. You might be standing there thinking, oh no, I have the cracks in the white coating and I forget where I put my keys every day. Is it too late for me? I want to pause and look you in the eye and say, absolutely not. It is never too late. The human body, and especially the human brain, is incredibly resilient. Neuroplasticity, which is the brain's ability to reorganize and form new connections, happens until the day we die. You don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. That is a recipe for failure. We are looking for progress, not perfection. Maybe this week you just start with the water. You focus on healing that dry, cracked tongue. Next week, you swap the sugary breakfast for some eggs and spinach to fix the B12 issue. Small steps. I want to share a quick story about a viewer named Robert. Robert was 72 and he was terrified because he felt his mind slipping. He noticed his tongue was always white and coated, and he had a heavy dependence on sugary coffee drinks. He decided to make just one change. He swapped his morning mocha for a green tea, and he started scraping his tongue every morning to remove the bacteria. He didn't run a marathon. He didn't become a vegan. He just made those small shifts. Within 3 weeks, he commented that the white coating was gone. But more importantly, he said he felt like a fog had lifted. He remembered his grandson's birthday without looking at the calendar. He felt present again. That is the power of these changes. It is not just about biology, it is about getting your life back. Let's recap what we have learned so far, because I know we have covered a lot of ground. First, check your tongue. If it is smooth and pale, you might need B12. If it has a white coating, cut the sugar and fix your gut. If it is cracked, hydrate. Second, feed your brain. Add berries, walnuts, leafy greens, and green tea to your diet. These are the fuels that protect your neurons. Third, stop the harsh habits. Ditch the alcohol-based mouthwash that kills your good bacteria. It is all about giving your body what it needs and removing the sneaky things that cause harm. I also want to touch on the emotional side of this. Aging is hard. I know the aches in the joints can be discouraging. I know the fear of losing your independence is real. Sometimes it feels like our own bodies are betraying us, but I want you to reframe that. Your body isn't betraying you, it is communicating with you. That symptom on your tongue isn't a punishment, it is a message. It is your body saying, help me and I will help you. By listening to these signals, you are taking control. You are not a passive victim of aging. You are the pilot of your own health. Every time you choose a glass of water over a soda, you are winning. Every time you choose walnuts over chips, you are fighting for your memory. You are fighting for the ability to tell your stories to your grandchildren, to manage your own finances, to live in your own home. That is what is at stake here, and it is worth fighting for. As we begin to wrap up, I want to give you one final piece of advice regarding oral hygiene that connects to the brain. We talked about mouthwash, but we must talk about flossing. I know it is everyone's least favorite chore, but here's the truth. The bacteria that cause gum disease live deep in the pockets between your teeth. These are the same bacteria found in Alzheimer's brains. When you floss, you are physically disrupting those colonies. You are destroying the enemy base camps before they can launch an attack on your brain. If you have arthritis and flossing is painful, get a water flosser. It is easier to hold and just as effective. Make it a non-negotiable part of your evening. View it not as cleaning your teeth, but as protecting your brain. So here is the plan. Tonight, go to the mirror, stick out your tongue, really look at it. Be honest with what you see. Then pick one thing from this video to start tomorrow. Maybe it is the big glass of water. Maybe it is buying some blueberries. Whatever it is, commit to it. I would love to hear from you now. Which of these tongue signs surprised you the most? Do you have the cracks or the coating or the smoothness? Or maybe you have already made diet changes and seen a difference. Please share your story in the comments below. I learned so much from you, and your experience might be the exact encouragement someone else needs to read today to keep going. Let's get a conversation going down there. And if you found this video helpful, if it opened your eyes even a little, please hit that like button. It tells YouTube that this is important information that other seniors need to see. And if you haven't already, subscribe and turn on that notification bell. We have so many more deep dives into senior health coming up, covering everything from heart health to joint mobility, all based on the latest science, but explained simply just for us. Remember, growing older is a privilege denied to many. It is a journey, and while we cannot stop the clock, we can absolutely decide how we run the race. You have the knowledge now, you know what to look for, and you know what to do. Stay strong, stay healthy, and remember, your independence is carried by your legs and protected by your choices. Keep taking those small steps for your health because they add up to giant strides in your freedom. I will see you in the next video.